Plants. The Green Frontier. These are the discussions of the podcast Horticult. Its continuing mission: to talk about strange new cultivars, to seek out new flowers and plant them, to boldly garden like no one has before. Hey everybody, this is Blaine from the Horticult. What's up? Today's episode is number 47, Glyphosate case. So this is a ruling that went down a couple, maybe even a month or two ago, about a dude who got cancer. And we just wanted to talk about it. We don't have all the facts here, just a little bit of articles that we've read and things like that. And just to give you a background that what glyphosate is it's an active ingredient in a non-selective herbicide, and it kills all plants. The formulation doesn't discriminate against any kind of plant type, so it just depends on ratios about how big the plant is to how much it gets sprayed. So he won this case against Monsanto for his cancer, and we just kind of go into it and what we think about it as people that have used glyphosate and who continue to use glyphosate, and what the implications could be, and where it's kind of used in our food line production. And this is a very loose conversation. We don't have a lot of facts built up, but just what we know, what the implications could be, and that's kind of what we base this discussion on. So let's get it on. This is Blaine.
And this is Brad.
And this is the Horticult Podcast. Thanks for listening, everybody. This week, we're going on a little different adventure. I've wanted to bring this subject up earlier, but I just didn't know enough about it to be able to have a conversation about it. And that's what this is going to be, because I was talking with my parents. They're the ones that brought it up to me, and I'm like, what? This dude, he got lung cancer. He sued Monsanto for Roundup. So he sued Roundup or Monsanto. It's like
the creator
of Roundup, which is the active ingredient in Roundup is glyphosate, which we've talked about on the podcast as something you can use. Well, this dude got lung cancer from breathing the fumes of it when he's mixing it. So if you're using it ready to use, then, I mean, you smell it. It has a smell when you're applying it. So that's what his claim was, that he inhaled the vapors. It wasn't on the label that you needed to wear a vaporizer, and he got lung cancer. So that was my biggest, was like, how can they link this to Roundup? Because the labels, and they go through all these procedures. It's been, I guess, Roundup was first created in 1980s.
Okay, yeah.
And then,
Roundup it's a weed killer.
Yeah, it's a non-selective herbicide.
Okay.
So it kills everything. And what I understood it was kind of a formulaic molecule, basically derived from salt. And so you're salting the plant to death. But there's also a bunch of other chemicals. So that's the active ingredient is glyphosate, but there's other things inside of it that make it get inside of the plant, break down that outer layer and get inside to kill it. And it's a systemic. So it goes inside the plant and goes through the vascular system and kills it from root to leaf or whatever, kills the whole thing. And it's a big moneymaker. I mean, this is kind of what they've kind of built their company off of, is this. There's some things that I feel like as a consumer or as a applicator or as whatever, that they've kind of, it seems like the evidence suggests, and I haven't really dived super, super deep. into this. But it seems like they've hidden the effects of what it does. Like they knew. It's almost like almost like the cigarettes. The idea that they knew it was bad, but they still marketed it and they still pushed it because they were making a lot of money. And that kind of seems like what has happened with glyphosate.
So, but also, I mean, with the herbicide, but then also, I just thought about this with the cigarettes, is that there's an effect that happens, a chemical effect that happens that is beneficial. So, like, I'm pretty sure with cigarettes, it helps calm people down. Like, it calms your anxiety, it calms you down. That's why they did it. They didn't just do it for no reason. And with Roundup or glyphosate, that chemical was super effective on killing weeds, right?
Oh, totally.
So you can see why people would use it, even if they knew it wasn't good for them, because of the effect that it has. So, I mean, man, I just used glyphosate the other day. And
that's what
and it works so well at what when you're using it for what you're supposed to. From the, according to the label, it works so well that you can't really get cost-wise, and you can't really get effectiveness for what that is. But this is phenomenal. I mean, this is quite interesting as far as.
I when I first heard it, I was like, "There's no way they're going to be able to link his condition to Roundup." I mean, they go through all this time to do these studies and figure it out, but if they were hiding the fact that they knew that it did cause cancer in a certain way, then they got him. But I still, to that point, okay, so this guy, from what I understand, so if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but he was a groundskeeper at a school, so an elementary school or whatever school, and he would mix the product and applicate it. So like almost probably at least once a week he was exposed to mixing and whatever.
One time a week. Okay.
One time a week.
Yeah.
And who really knows how much? But you wouldn't be using it all over the turf because it would kill the turf.
Yeah. I mean, how many? That's a good question. Like, one time a week, how many hours exposed to that?
Yeah.
Maybe.
And maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm not seeing all of it. And if he was using a concentrate, then that's some heavy doses that he is exposing himself to when he is taking out that little bit to make a tank full that he would go walk around with. But when I was in school, they basically branded glyphosate as super safe. That out of the herbicides that we use, that glyphosate was at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'd heard as well.
And I don't know why. I think they were trying to promote that kind of idea. But I do remember, the promoter or whatever of Roundup saying, "Oh, it's safe enough to drink," or whatever, like the concentrate and someone was like, "Well, drink it, do it," and he didn't do it. I'm like, because he probably really knew what the deal was. But when I kind of thought about it, this is why he would say that. This is why they took that stance, is because they were making so much money off of genetically modified plants. So anything, see, this is where it could kind of take a turn, because the genetically modified plants is not just so you can spray it with glyphosate and kill everything else but that. But I think a lot of genetically modified plants are in this realm of glyphosate use. Not all, but a lot of them are. So like,
well, certainly corn, right?
Corn, yeah.
Corn and soybeans.
Is a huge one.
Soybeans, probably.
Anything with sugar.
Oh, okay.
Sugar beets. Mm-hmm. And then I know alfalfa is. But the farmers don't necessarily have to use it. They could still use their other stuff, but it's because Roundup was cheap, it was economical for them to pay a little bit more for genetically modified seeds that they could just spray their whole entire field with and not kill that one plant. You kill everything else, and you would not kill the one that was modified. This is what pisses me off, is that they knew that it was bioaccumulative. So, at least this is what I understand is coming out, okay? And so anything that is sprayed with glyphosate, even if a genetically modified thing that doesn't die, retains that glyphosate inside of its system. And so in those sugar beets and the corn, in you just said it, soybeans, and the alfalfa, it has glyphosate in it, so it travels up the chain. So anything that ate that corn, anything that eats that alfalfa, anything, whatever that is made with those products is going to get some level of glyphosate in it. They've made some levels of tolerances of what can be tolerated in food.
So like the FDA.
The FDA.
Yeah.
But if they were hiding certain facts from the FDA, or maybe the FDA was negligent on some level, maybe they were in on it, that it did do this, because I was never told that it was really accumulative.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of got me at first, because I was always told it wasn't like that. That as soon as it's sprayed, it's done. You know, it gets absorbed, it dries. If it's not on it, contact, whatever, it goes in the system. It becomes, like the half-life is really quick, and it becomes less active. But I guess that's not entirely true.
Is the investigation ongoing? I mean, is it...
Well, there's going to be appeals. So this dude won like $290 million to help, whatever. But I'm sure there's appeals. There's all these other new cases that are coming up. There's like 8,000 new cases that they have to go through the litigation system with. Something like that.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
And it was a very specific cancer.
Yeah, okay. It was lung cancer, but it was a very specific.
So the exposure stuff is totally different.
Uh-huh.
And then the ingesting it from food is a separate thing. But because this ruling went down, the implications could go really far. It could go super deep. So it's like, but that could affect food companies.
Yeah.
That can affect agriculture, everything agriculture. The reason why we've had such a boom in certain crops is because of GMOs. You know, why is one country able to make so much food is because of our science that we've implemented. So in a way, it could hurt even food prices. Yeah. So I really actually was thinking this could be our generation's DDT.
Oh, right.
That, our America's super high cancer rates, all these things could be linked or somehow contributed to glyphosate in everything. I guess that's why I guess there are some thoughts. I mean, this is very speculative, okay? It's basically Monsanto's going down. That's what I kind of think. And they just did a merger too with Bayer.
Oh,
I don't even know
right.
I don't know if it's totally gone through. But and they're a German company, Bayer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
the Bayer aspirin.
Yep.
Oh, all right. Pharmaceuticals, man.
Pharmaceuticals with Monsanto, chemicals and herbicides and stuff. So I mean, it's. I just wanted to bring it up because I thought, from my perspective, who I use glyphosate, or I have used glyphosate in the past, we took extreme precautions with it, even for what we thought was like ridiculous. At the U, we used it almost every day, or at least once a week.
Yeah.
Just like that guy.
Oh, yeah.
We kind of changed. We weren't using Roundup per se. We were using a different brand, but it still was probably made by Monsanto. It was just under a different name. It had different formulation or whatever. It was a commercial version of Roundup, which Roundup is more of a residential branding.
Yeah.
So what it's called is Roundup, but really it's probably That shit